Hello, my name is Stephanie, and for my capstone, I'm looking at the Disney waiting lines because one, they're long, and nobody likes standing in them. So a little fun facts about Disney real quick. Disneyland is made up of two parks, Disney and then Disney's California Adventures. And within these parks, there's a bunch of sub-little lands, such as Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, and Pixar Pier. Disneyland's capacity is roughly 90,000 people. Indiana Jones wait line on its longest day can be up to a mile long, from start to end, which is crazy. The longest wait time in Disneyland was 300 minutes when Guardians of the Galaxy opened up, or 3 hours, and then Florida's longest line was Frozen, the Ever After ride, which is 300 minutes, and they can only show signs that have 300 minutes, which is right here. So you don't actually know if it's longer or not, which is kind of weird. And Disney's making a bunch of changes right now. They just got rid of all their smoking areas, so Disney now is a no smoking park. They are doing away with the large double wide strollers, so now they have certain requirements to fit in them. I've personally been ran down by one, it's not fun. And then to prepare for Star Wars Land, they are getting rid of benches and potted plants for quite a while until the crowds subside. This is my family. Last time we went to Disneyland, which was spring break or winter break. This is my mom right here. She's pretty cool. Her and I were involved in a very serious car accident my freshman year of high school. It was really bad. She was stuck in the car, caught on fire 3 times. Pretty not a fun thing to deal with before you get your driver's license. So she ended up breaking both of her legs, and whenever we go to the park, it is pretty strenuous on her, so she uses a walker. So we have first-hand experience of the ADA lines, which is the main problem I'm focusing on. A few other problems about Disney, though, is just the long lines. They're boring. There's not much you can do with them besides play on your phone, talk to people around you. Also, there's not a ton of charging stations for motor scooters. You could be in the middle of the park and then all of a sudden you have to run to the front before it dies, or leave the park to get a new one, which is at this building right here, which is outside the park. And if you leave the park, there's a good chance you can't get back in. And also, another problem I'm looking at or wanting to fix in this capstone project is the ADA line procedures. They have elevators instead of stairs. You have to go in through the exit, and they have special lines where you're secluded from everyone else, and you can be separated from your party, which is not fun, and you're stuck by yourself. This is a problem because it's not very inclusive. The lines can be longer than the actual lines themselves. So for example, in Space Mountain and Tomorrowland, you have to go in through the exit, and you just kind of sit in this waiting area. And you have to wait for a cast member to come down, get you, pull you off, and then you still have to go in through the exit. Not fun. People don't want to move out of your way. There's a picture at the end of this ride that disappears, and so everyone's rushing, so you just get pushed to the side, and then it's really painful. And then, again, if you leave the park, you could get stuck outside because it reaches capacity, or you have to wait in a very long line to get back in. So an example of the full procedure line in Indiana Jones ride in, I think it's Adventureland. So you go up and you get a fast pass, which means you don't have to wait in line. So you can go do other stuff and then come back and it holds your spot in line. Once your time comes, you get to go into the ride, but you have to go in through the exit. And this ride is a pretty popular ride considering it has a mile-long line area. So you have to go in through the exit. There's little alcoves that you can pull into while everyone gets out of the way, and starts coming down. And then once you're there, you have to go up an elevator because there's stairs. And if that elevator breaks down, 88 people can't get on the ride because there's stairs. And if you're unable to walk, you can't get on it. And then you have to take an elevator up, walk 2 feet, take an elevator down. So it just seems a little unnecessary considering thinking about how ADA accessible people get on. So my solution to this ride is to create a space for everyone to be able to enjoy. I want to create a space that is one level, so there's absolutely no stairs and having to be separated from your party. I area that anybody can enjoy, no matter your ability, age, or gender. And of course, since Marvel is very popular right now, it would be Avengers theme to go with Avengers Land that will be opening next year in Disneyland. They announced recently, I believe it was last month, that it will be opening in 2020. They're opening 3 interconnecting story lands in Anaheim, Paris, and Hong Kong, which is pretty cool that they're all going to be like connected stories. They are going to be focusing mainly on Spider-Man and a couple of other characters so that it's very connected throughout the world. So this would fit in very well with their new upcoming lands. Here's a map of California Adventures. Marvel Land is going to be right here, with this being what Bug's Land used to be. This is the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride that opened a few years ago, and then they started adding Marvel aspects, such as Spider-Man, Captain America right here, and Captain Marvel for photo ops, and get to hang out with your characters and Marvel-themed food, such as the Groot bread. So my ride would be in this area right here where it's tough to be a bug. So it's going to be right at the beginning of the park. For my concept, I really wanted to focus on the ride being very inclusive to everyone, no matter who you are coming into this ride. I wanted it to be immersive, feel like you're coming in and you're entering the Marvel universe. You get to meet Iron Man and everybody else that could possibly be in this universe. Very unique to Disney, and then also be very accessible to the park. And then since it's going to be open and different, I want to make sure there was a bunch of seating for everyone. For my floor plan, I wanted to go with a very free, roaming, waiting area. You could sit, walk, jump, not run. So right here, there would be just a small wait line just to keep it at capacity and doesn't become a fire hazard. Once you would enter, you would get a little buzzer to hold your place in line, kind of like a restaurant buzzer. And then once you enter, you could do whatever your heart desires. We have a stage for character interactions, and demonstrations and Q&As. We have a bunch of seating with charging stations in it that you could plug in your phones, external chargers, iPads. If someone brings their computer, they can charge their computer, I guess. And then interactive screens that you can go up and play on, and then a touch table that is low enough that a wheelchair could just roll right in, and also little kids and adults can play with. And then we have game chairs right here, and then once your buzzer goes off that it's your turn to get on the ride, there is, from the ceiling projections, there would be ants forming arrows right in this area to point you directly to the entrance. You would turn in your buzzer and then get on your ride, which has 3 different ride scenes, which is a simulator of Avengers Age of Ultron. You're in the ending battle fighting the Ultron's army. And then once you get off the ride, you either have 2 options. One, you could leave and go do whatever you want in the park, move on to your next fast pass, move on to the next show, or in true Marvel fashion, there's an end scene where you could just go in there and it's just a continuation of the ride. You get more touch tables, interactive scenes, seating, and then a display case of Marvel props. Since Disney does own Marvel, they would be able to get the props into the display case, and they can be changed out with how Marvel is going to be changing. For materials, I use mainly white, shiny floors, metal ceilings, gray walls, to really give it that clean, like futuristic look. Going into the waiting area, we have more interactive screens. These game chairs are specifically designed with motor scooters in mind. With that being said, you would be able to back right up into it since it is in the middle of the park. There really is no charging stations again. You'd be able to back up, turn around and charge, like plug in, and then there would be a screen that would come out in front of you, as seen here. And you could be playing Galaga, watching your favorite movie scene, pretty much anything that you could do anywhere else, but you're also sitting there being productive, charging, and you're not just sitting there not doing anything while you're charging. There's also, behind the screens, these seating options for people who are not in wheelchairs that can still interact with this space. Again, sticking with the inclusive, immersive part. There are still interactive screens on both walls and on the back wall to have kids go up, interact with them, meet their favorite characters, because kids very much understand the magic, and meeting their favorite characters is the best part of their day. Moving on to the ride area, the ride would have a standing track, so it would not be moving as you're getting onto the ride. They do have some of these rides, and they either have to slow them down or turn it off, which really puts a spotlight on you if you're trying to get in, and some people who don't like the spotlight, that would really suck and be very embarrassing. So it's a standstill, so it's not moving while you're getting on, and then you would move into 3 different areas, which would increasingly grow with the bad guys of the ride. And it would be very interactive. You could get to shoot, earn points. I have actually based this ride sequence off another ride at Disney. It's called Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. Just so everyone knows like kind of what it looks like at the park. You get these little blasters, and you're competing with the person next to you to earn the most points. And whoever earns the most points like wins. You get to move them around. The cart moves on a joystick. It opens like this as you're trying to get on, and you walk on, and then the ride just like does it itself, like closes on itself, and then it just starts. But this is one of those moving track rides where it's kind of hard to like run, walk in sideways, not trip. And in the ride, it's a dark ride, so everything's like neon color, and then there's little targets, which are these right here, that you would run around and shoot. Different colors mean different points. There's hidden ones that aren't lit up. So just to give you an idea of what I was going for with the ride, this is the ride that I'm basing it off of. Here's concept art that I created for the actual ride itself. The ride pods would just be gray with Iron Man's hand blaster that you get to use. It would have blue seats and the Iron Avengers symbol on the front. And the ride would be set in the Sokovia battle with the Avengers or the Ultron army coming around, and you would just be able to shoot the little targets that are around. Moving on to the extra scene, it would again have a whole bunch of seating and interactive screens that you can go up and see. You can see facts about Wakanda and Black Panther, Goose the cat from Captain Marvel. The display case, which would hold whatever item would be currently used or what character is currently being promoted. And then the touch tables again, which would be able to be interacted with, doing pretty much whatever you wanted on them, making your own Iron Man suit or anything like that. This is perspective of what it would look like with characters free roaming around, taking pictures with your favorite characters. We got an ant wall or an ant farm right there, so you can go up, see ants, learn about ants, and interactive screens that are from floor to ceiling. And they're kind of transparent, so you can kind of see what's behind them, but mainly you can see what's right in front of you, doing what and interacting with it how you want. This would be a solution because, one, you don't have to go in through the exits. That is absolutely my work. I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. It's awful. My mom hates it because she ends up running over people and then they get mad at us. So it's just not fun. You could still use this ride even if the elevators were broken at the time. You would be able to charge your scooter in the middle of the park. While doing research, I found that this guy was very upset with Disney that there wasn't more charging stations, that they weren't more advanced, and that there wasn't more that they could do. It appeals to all ages, all genders, and it's more entertaining. You lose track of time, so a 3-hour line doesn't feel like a 10-hour line, or so it would feel more like 20 minutes trying to interact with everything since there's so much to do. In conclusion, I wanted to create a ride that was completely different from what Disney's currently doing. It is rumored that in Star Wars Land they're going to be doing something like this, but we won't actually know until the 31st. But I wanted to create something that was completely different than what Disney's currently doing. Their lines can be very long, and they're expecting a huge population increase, or guests coming increase because of Star Wars Land and now Marvel Land opening up next year. So I wanted to make sure that there was going to be enough seating for people to relax on, chargings for everyone, no matter what device you're using. Also give people a chance to move around. Those lines are not very long, and there's also not a lot of places to sit. You really only have the floor, and that's really gross. And it would give people a better experience with their attitude. If people get cranky whenever they're not really moving, they could do stuff and not have to worry about their attitude affecting others around them. Thank you. Is there any questions?
I really like the concept. Like, I mean, we're a big Disney family too, so like, it's just a really cool idea on like changing the waiting lines. I also really appreciate your extra scene thing. I thought that was really clever.
I'm not a Marvel fan, or a Disney fan, really, honestly. But I think like I would enjoy it being your space. I like how you changed something that's like not super fun to be in to something that's really functional but interactive, and I think that's hard to do. So good job.
I was gonna say, I like the way that you incorporated the not really having to wait in line. I think that's an extremely cool idea. I don't know why they don't do that. And also, like, we go to Disney a lot too, my family, so it really blows my mind about the charging thing, and I'm glad you like brought that to my attention, because I never would have known, and I just can't believe that Disney hasn't done something about that yet. And it's kind of, I like feel your frustration, and I don't even have to like, do that, so. Good job.
Stephanie, I'm just taking off of Molly's comments. You have charging for the IT side of things, but then you also have charging for the scooters.
Yeah.
If you go back to that lobby screen and just walk me through where.
Yeah, it's going to be in this like block right here. You'd be able to just scoot backwards, because I know I believe the cords are on the back. And you would just be able to turn around, plug it in, and then you get to start like interacting with the screen. It also has the seats, and most people don't have these things. But for those who do, you would just be able to back right in and charge.
Okay.
Yeah. Gives you something to do rather than
Absolutely.
sitting in a corner watching everyone have fun while you're stuck charging.
Right.
Do you know how many people are, so you were talking about typical wait times. So if it's 300 minutes, how many people is that? And so I guess I'm loving your concept. I love that you're trying to create something different, but then I'm like, how many people are we actually trying to accommodate? And when I look at your perspective, I think all I would see is a mass of people in there, and I feel like I would just be like gridlocked with people because there's so many people. So to me, I'm like, a line makes sense because it controls that many people. And so that's my question for you is, what's the percentage of people in a scooter that would need those charging stations? So how many charging stations are there? And how many people are you accommodating in this space?
It was really hard to find an exact number of people who just stand in the lines. But I went with the huge capacity and just kind of like figured not all 90,000 people would be in this line. But it's also really hard to get an exact number of how many people are disabled that go to the park, because pretty much if you just go up and say, oh, I sprained my knee, I need a scooter, they don't ask for any proof, they don't ask for like you to prove anything, you could just get a scooter. So there's people that I've seen people just go up, get a scooter, and then like they trade it off throughout the family. So it's really hard to just get an exact number. So I just kind of went with the last time I was there. I saw roughly, I think like 50 scooters and walkers and canes and stuff like that. And it was a pretty like not busy day. So I just kind of went with that, tried making it, I tried to accommodate as much as I could in the space for the charging scooters, but I tried to keep it as open as possible to avoid the huge crowds too.
Are you asking like how many people in that entire waiting area?
I'm trying to, again, this is my first time seeing it, so I I don't quite completely understand the logistics of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to understand is how does that really work, and how many people does that accommodate?
Mhm.
And so would there be just a longer line outside of that?
Yeah,
Do you
there
know
would
what
be
I
a
mean?
small line out here just to keep it at capacity, because I know that
So what is your capacity? I guess that's my question.
if I remember correctly, it was like 200, maybe? 150, 200, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So I see that as it's an intermediate, like most of the
Yeah.
rides, you're just waiting until you're at the ride, and this provides kind of a, this intermediate experience. So you could,
And it's constantly going to be
whether you said there's going to be
moving
100
as you're
people
going
in
to the
there or
ride.
300, there will be a comfortable capacity.
Yeah.
And then as, maybe after 10 people get on the ride, whatever the rate is of people getting through to actually get on the ride, then they'll let in 10 more people.
Got it.
yeah.
That's what I see. And so it does provide this relief.
Right.
Instead of waiting for 300 minutes and then getting on the ride,
Absolutely.
you might be able to spend 40 minutes
Mhm.
in
In
that
there.
section,
Mhm.
cycling through, which gives you
Taking
time
a
to
break.
charge and,
your feet
get out
up.
of temperature
Right.
and
Totally.
just
Yeah.
sitting around. And then the extra scene
Mm-hmm.
in the back, which is also cool because so many rides, you wait 3 hours, you
And
do a
it's
6-minute
done.
ride and you're out the door, part of this cattle prod process that gets you onto something else. So it does create this, you have a ride and you stage this preliminary
Experience.
anticipatory experience and then something afterwards, which I think is awesome. There, as well as making the accommodation. I was equally blown away when she explained there's one charging station in and then the other one's off property.
Right.
Like, how could they not know? And then what you also further illustrated was and those who are wheelchair bound have to come in the back way and you're fighting the stream of
Yeah.
of people,
Different
and you're like,
directions.
how has this not been accommodated? So you identified a enormous issue, and part of the solution, I think, also creates a greater experience for us. All the able-bodied people that, now we can have something that get a little bit, it's kind of like the queue, that we see, you have this experience before you actually get in on the ride to get warmed up to it. So I love it. I think it's cool.
I think it's a very strong presentation on demonstrating this need. So,
Yeah.
And it's one that not everybody thinks about, so that's what kind of makes it interesting.
That most people have
Educational.
experienced.
You
Yeah.
don't really think about it until you see it firsthand. So,
Yep, I agree. Did you have any other? Okay.
good.
I also just liked your attention to the fandom with it, because as a Marvel fan, I understood the playing Galaga and the ant farm and all that jazz. So I think what I like is your imagination was able to kind of come through on this. So good job.
And I'll say one minor critique, because I think in the poster and the questioning maybe I think a little bit more fleshed out detail, and even if it was just the plan view, you had the one shot of a gaming chair there, and maybe a few more details on that to clarify. That in itself, we see where it is, and then when we saw the elevation of it, I don't think it fully captured what it would be like, even if it was just 2D with even just an elevation showing a wheelchair or a scooter, and where it would actually plug in, just a little bit more fleshed out on that, I think would have helped. I mean, that is cool, but I think maybe a little more detail on the charging piece of it.
All right, good job, Beth.